This is the Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene.
You look at my numbers, I'm balling.
Beer City's best sports talk is on the air. Get involved. Call 252-4348. Tweet the show at SportsTankESPN. The Sports Tank. Come get you some of this.
Can't wait.
It's ESPN Asheville 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. The Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene is on the air. We are in the Ingles studio, and this hour of the program, as always, brought to you by our good friends at Ingles. Low prices, love the savings. Speaking of, we're going to have another Ingles Chew on that segment coming up later on in the program today by Mr. Caleb Peak. Joining me in the studio today, Mr. Brian Haynes.
Yes, sir.
Brian Kadarius Haynes. That's your name. Mr. Giants fan extraordinaire. Hit him with the stat of the day. Since 2016, there's only been one team in the NFL who has not had 1 week in 5 years where they've had a winning record. And it is his New York Giants.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me that right as I walked in.
Your spirits.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted right when I walked in.
Right, you were sick all day yesterday.
Yeah.
You were getting over it this morning, and I just had to do something.
Lift my spirits.
Yeah, to make you feel better about your life. Because in that you can take the only way to go is up.
Yeah, I guess I can look at it that way. In another way, I could say, man, we've been real bad lately.
You have been real bad lately.
Yeah.
Also been real bad lately, the New York Jets.
Yeah.
They're next to last on that list. Only 2 weeks in the last 5 years have they had a winning record. You know, coming from, the reigning and defending Super Bowl champions.
Folks, I cannot wait until Tampa Bay loses in the playoffs this year because it's going to be magical.
It's not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen. Just like it's not going to happen for the Los Angeles Clippers. The Phoenix Suns are now up 2-0 after last night's thriller.
Oh, boy.
And what is the NBA doing? How can you let your only game of the night take 33 minutes to finish the last 2 minutes of the game? To me, I mean, if you're really concerned about eyeballs being on your sport, that's probably one thing that you need to clear up. We don't need to make the last 2 minutes last half an hour.
It was hard to watch. It was such a good game coming down to the end. Mm-hmm. And I looked at it and said, as a laissez-faire basketball fan just tuning in to watch that game, I want to know how many people turned away because of how long it took. It was like, they had to review every single play. There were so many out of bounds plays that had to be reviewed. I mean, even the last second when they had to review the play, then, the Clippers were trying to substitute guys. Then they didn't know who was actually supposed to be on the floor. They were trying to pull a fast one. That took forever to figure out.
They don't care. They still got your view because even if you fell asleep during all of that boringness, they still got the count for the view.
Just free throws. Paul George. Free throws.
Playoff P coming through for you.
They missed 6 free throws as a team yesterday.
Look,
Paul George missed 5 of them.
Look. Would they have been in the game down the stretch without Paul George? No. They would not have been. So we got to back off the playoff P hate. I think what yesterday, the game 2 of the Western Conference Finals last night came down to was Monty Williams drew up a perfect inbound play with 0.9 seconds to go.
I could have told you that's what they were going to do from the minute that happened, and I knew they were getting the ball. I was like, oh, yeah.
Right.
And because they had to review that play, they were able to install that. They got basically a free timeout. If they didn't review that play, they're coming back out there and having to, just figure it out. And I don't think that play happens. Clippers put in DeMarcus Cousins. They had Zubac in there. They had, who's the other fella on the team there?
The other fella?
Nick Batum. They had him in there as well. And so they had all the big guys in. And Devin Booker was the one who got the pick on Zubac to actually get DeAndre Ayton kind of open for that. So got to give it up for the guy for throwing his body in there after, getting a headbutt to the face and probably broke his nose.
Right.
I don't know for sure if he did or not, but
I mean, he had to get stitches. Something went wrong.
It was in there, and he was stuffing some stuff up in the nose. You know what I mean? I know there were so many people last night too saying that was such a dirty play by Patrick Beverly, and I was like, it's not. The reason that people think that because of Patrick Beverly's reputation, he didn't headbutt him on purpose. It was in the motion of the play, and it was just it got real ugly down the stretch. A lot of missed field goals. They were just coming down, and there was not a lot of scoring at the end. And it's just going back and forth and back and forth. And then you had all the timeouts and you had all the fouls and you had all the replays and you had all this stuff. And it just was ugly. I'm glad it ended the way that it did with an actual, a game-winning shot.
Right.
Because I think if we didn't have that, people would just be really disgusted about the end of that game.
How dare I stick around for all of this rigmarole for the last 33 minutes and they miss the winning shot.
Yeah.
But no, to me, that game sent the signal, Suns in 4. We'll get into more. We'll get into it more in just a minute. But also last night we had the NBA lottery, the Charlotte Hornets. Unfortunately, we couldn't jump up into the top 4.
No.
He's going to pick 11th. It's not bad because I honestly believe that this is a very deep class. I think there are impact players in this upcoming class of the NBA draft that you will be able to, they'll be able to snag guys in the second round that are going to be, in my view, at least decent role players in the NBA. You can go through all of the draft classes over history, and it's just miss after miss after miss after miss on down through, I think there are going to be a lot of really good players come out of the first round of this draft. I think there are some gems in the second round of the draft. And I don't know. I mean, I'm by no means Mr. NBA scouting guy, but there are just guys that are going to be available in this draft that I think could be really influential.
Percentages aren't for that. Typically you're going to have 2 or 3 guys in the first round that are come out and are actually end up being, all-star level
players. Yeah.
All-star level. You typically have one guy in the bottom half of the first round who usually is a good role player, then a couple guys in the second round. So typically out of an actual NBA draft, you're typically only getting about 6 or 7 guys that are actually, worth it, so to speak.
Right.
I do see this draft, at least I feel like the top 10 guys are definitely players in this league. And there is some role players. I feel like I think you're going to see more guys make a contribution to teams out of this draft than we've seen probably in the last, I can go back even probably 10 years maybe. I'd say I feel pretty confident in that. In saying that.
Yeah, Detroit ends up with the first pick in the draft. Watching Ben Wallace last night made me first watching the coverage. I saw Hakeem Olajuwon show up, and I went, "Good Lord, I'm old," because he looks ancient. And then I saw Ben Wallace, and I went, he looks almost as old as Hakeem Olajuwon. How's that possible?
Well,
he's 18 years younger than Hakeem.
Yeah, he definitely looked a little bit older, but good for him.
But they can celebrate. They can spike the football in the Motor City. They're going to be getting Cade Cunningham.
100%.
It's not even a question as to who's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. Cade Cunningham is a guy that you take number 1. I heard somebody say it earlier today. It's not like he's LeBron James or Kobe Bryant or, I guess Kobe wouldn't be involved in this since he wasn't a, clear number 1 overall draft pick. But it's not like we're expecting him to be the next greatest thing.
Yeah.
But he's the closest thing to a can't miss.
Listen, he's a 6'8" point guard / shooting guard. So he can handle the ball. He's got size. He can shot create, play make. He can score from all 3 levels.
Yep.
And he can take over games. We saw it in college last year. He could take over games. I think he's going to be a stud. It's just, I feel bad for him having to go to Detroit because, God almighty, that team's terrible.
But he's the start of the rebirth. That's the way you got to look at it.
And they had a decent draft last year. I feel like, Sadiq Bey ended up being pretty well. I think
Killian Hayes
was hurt a lot. I think he's going to be okay. But they're after that. I'm interested to see how things play out. And I'm looking at a guy like Jalen Suggs from Gonzaga. And the reason I'm looking at that is because I feel like Houston probably going to draft Evan Mobley. I would if I was Houston. There's been people say Jalen Greene or Evan Mobley, either or. But after that, Cleveland's not going to draft a point guard because they've got Darius Garland, they have Colin Sexton. Toronto's probably not going to draft a point guard because they have Fred VanVleet, and who knows what they're going to do with Kyle Lowry. And then so you get down to the Magic, what are they going to do? He could fall. And then, after that.
They don't need a guard.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then Oklahoma City, you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander there. Then you have.
Wait. So are you saying that you think Jalen Suggs could fall past like 8?
I don't know. I'm not saying that he should. I'm just saying there's a lot of teams that are point guard heavy in this draft at the top, and then you go 7.
I'm gonna tell you now. If you're in Cleveland and you don't have your eye on Jalen Suggs, which of course they would, say they do want to go with Mobley, and Mobley comes off the board at 2.
Yeah.
If you don't draft Jalen Suggs because you're concerned about how he will fit in with Darius Garland and Colin Sexton,
I think they would draft Jalen Greene, who's is a shooting guard. I think they would draft Jalen Greene at 3. That's what I'm saying. And then Toronto, I don't think Jalen Suggs should fall. I'm just saying that there's teams that could have to make a decision on whether they want to draft another point guard.
Right.
We've seen a lot of these teams in the lottery in the past draft players because they're the best player available, but they're already someone at that position and it hasn't worked out for them. Minnesota Timberwolves, I'm looking at you.
Right.
So I'm not saying he's going to fall. I'm just saying there's going to be some thoughts by teams to have to make that decision. And there is talent. You know what I mean? You got to,
no kidding.
A Jonathan Kuminga. You're
talking about in the rest of the draft? Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get into that probably in the second hour of the program.
Yeah.
Here. We got a lot to talk about. We got
for sure
last night's basketball. We got tonight's opener of the series between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Atlanta Hawks. We've got the lottery. There's something happening in baseball. Good night. Leave it up to Joe Girardi.
Old Joey
Napoleon
didn't think that
syndrome
a Yankee
was going to be the reason that we have this big thing, this big controversy going on in Major League Baseball.
Tank, you already talked down to my Giants.
I'm going to talk down.
And now
to
you just started
Yankees
talking about the Yankees. I'm going to take that as a little bit of disrespect.
You can absolutely take it as a sign of disrespect. And that's fine.
Yes.
But last night we also had a big debut in Major League Baseball.
Oh, man.
The Boston Red Sox facing off against the Tampa Bay Rays, and Wander Franco. He is the most highly touted Major League prospect since, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to think. Since Mike Trout, maybe?
Probably.
He might be. I mean, he's been the number one prospect in baseball for 2 years.
Yeah.
And last night came in and just demolished the baseball, tied up the game with a 3-run home run.
Oh, it was huge.
It was amazing. I mean, he is a guy that's not going to shy away from all of the expectation that is thrown his way. So we'll get into some baseball. We got basketball to talk about too. A couple of football headlines as well. All coming your way over the next 2 hours here on ESPN Asheville. Now, last night, in that Phoenix Suns LA Clippers game, we had no Chris Paul again.
Yep.
We had no Kawhi Leonard again.
Nope.
Devin Booker didn't have a great night.
He did not.
And somehow, the role players for Phoenix were able to step up and keep it a close game with a team that, on paper, the Los Angeles Clippers, I mean, if you take Chris Paul off of the Phoenix Suns, and you take Devin Booker and knock him back, 50% from his 40-point triple-double?
Yeah.
That's a team that should get smoked by the LA Clippers just because of their depth and the talent that they have.
Campaign played unbelievable last night.
He was a hero of last night. I'm not trying to sell him short.
Nobody could, it seemed like nobody can guard him, and he was just getting to the hole at will. He didn't shoot very well from 3-point range. He was only 2 of 8, but a lot of his buckets came inside the lane. He was getting to the hole pretty big. And DeAndre Ayton is just a stud. 12 of 15 from the floor, 11. I mean, he had 14 rebounds. Obviously, the game ender, which was awesome. And yeah, Devin Booker didn't play well. He was out for a little bit. I thought while he was out, these guys stepped up. Mikal Bridges didn't really have a great game, but Cam Johnson had a pretty good game too, coming off the bench. Dario Saric hit a couple shots, not many in his time on the floor. There was an Etuan Moore sighting, which I hadn't seen in like a long time either.
Yeah, I thought he retired like 5 years ago.
Yeah, for real. I was like, holy cow, he's still in the league. And I just felt like, when you look at the Clippers and you look outside of Paul George, Reggie Jackson can score, I guess, but he was 7 for 15 last night. Patrick Beverley's just out there for defense. Marcus Morris Sr., when you're having to rely on Marcus Morris Sr. to be kind of your 2 or 3, you're not. The team's not going to win. I would take a Devin Booker-led Suns team over this Paul George-led Clippers team, even without Chris Paul on the Suns every game. I would take them every game.
Because here's the thing. They've got experience.
Yeah.
The Clippers have experience. There are only 3 guys left in the playoffs right now that have championship rings.
Right.
And all of them play for the Clippers.
Yeah. And I'm
obviously
like,
Kawhi Leonard's not playing anymore, and Serge Ibaka is the other one who's not playing either. So you've only got one guy still alive in these playoffs that has a championship ring. Is Rajon Rondo.
Yes.
So they get the nod because of Paul George is an actual established superstar in the NBA, which I feel like, Devin Booker is there.
Yeah.
He has reached that in this. If he wasn't considered a star already by the lay basketball fan, in these playoffs, he has proven it.
Yeah. And do you remember at the All-Star, we were having to talk about Devin Booker not making the All-Star team? Like, that's just insane.
It'll never happen again.
It shouldn't. And I'm wondering from the Clippers standpoint, why is Terrence Mann not getting more time? I mean, he showed you what he can do. And when you're looking for someone to score, because they had problems scoring the basketball last night. 100 points in an NBA game isn't what it used to be.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I just felt like he should have got more run. When you're relying on Reggie Jackson, it's a tough situation. I don't know. I just don't know.
I just don't know.
It's weird. And I just feel like the campaign was the difference in this game last night. And got to give it up to him.
Yeah, and he has he said after the game that he is taken on this role of becoming the Chris Paul protege. And I thought that was
hey.
Okay. I didn't see him as that, but I guess so. I saw that more. I see Devin Booker more in that role.
Yeah.
I think the Chris Paul Devin Booker relationship has been the one thing that has pushed Devin over the edge. And also think about it this way. Devin Booker has been a guy who's been the only guy for the Phoenix Suns since he got into the league, 4 years ago?
Well, they had DeAndre Ayton too, but that's only a couple years, but
Right. I mean, he was a rookie last year. He hasn't been around long enough.
Yeah.
But those teams that Devin Booker was on and he was scoring 70 points a night and stuff. I mean, not every night, obviously, but he did have that 170-point game. But putting up numbers the way he did, he was relied on to be the guy to bring the ball up the floor and play the point. And so when Chris Paul leaves, Booker can step in and he can do all of those things. He can play the point. He can create shots. He can facilitate for other players. He's been doing it masterfully.
Yeah. And we are, is everybody assuming, and I don't know this for sure, but Chris Paul is going to be playing Game 3, correct?
He better. I'm going to say he better. If the NBA can't figure out how to get him back on the floor for Game 3, I think they're doing the protocols wrong.
Right.
I mean, he's vaccinated. He tested positive, sure. Surely I would think that they could have two negative tests returned by now.
Right.
If he's not out for Game 3, something else is going on and we're being lied to.
Yeah.
You're in the Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene here on ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. Will the Suns win it in 4? You bet your bottom dollar. We'll have more up now. ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. The Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene. Again, heard everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Filling in for Jeremy today, Mr. Brian Haynes.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
Tank Spencer. And last night we had the Phoenix Suns go up 2-0 on the Los Angeles Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. I said the West Coast Conference the other day.
Yeah.
And it was like, where the hell did that come from?
Gonzaga. Take Gonzaga.
Right. In the Western Conference Finals, they are up 2-0. Now, this is the third time now in these playoffs that the Clippers have been down 0-2.
Yes.
Do you think there is any shot to the moon that they will be able to come back from 0-2 3 times in one playoff?
Is Kawhi Leonard walking through that door?
No.
Then the best I can see is a gentleman's sweep.
Thank you. Okay.
The best I can see is a gentleman's sweep.
Okay. They might be able to take a game at home.
Yeah, they might be able to come back since it was such a tough game 3. But, if Chris Paul's playing, I think it's a different story. I don't know. They might be able to get one in Los Angeles with the crowd going a little bit crazy for them. But this is Phoenix's series to win.
I feel like it is.
Yeah.
And I feel like I got some pushback the other day when I said the Phoenix Suns are now my favorite to win the NBA title. I don't think that there is another team that can beat them in a 7-game series. It's one of those things that I can't really explain. I feel like I'm pretty good at reading the momentum of teams and being able to go, that team is the one that's going to win this year, just based on destiny, trends, all that, all that ancillary stuff that can't be explained by statistics.
Yeah.
And then you look at the Phoenix Suns and you go, they're doing this without Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Granted, the Clippers are doing it without Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
But I feel like Chris Paul comes back, this series is done.
Yeah. I agree. Like I said, I think both of these series, and we'll talk about the series starting tonight, but
right.
I feel like this is an easy 4 or 5 games. Mm-hmm. I don't see Clippers winning more than 1 game at all.
And it was great to me to see last night DeAndre Ayton making the final basket, getting that big shot. So many people confused, too, about, that was goaltending, wasn't it?
Not.
No, it's not goaltending. See, goaltending happens on a shot.
Yeah.
You can't take shots from out of bounds on an inbounds play. So the whole hands inside the cylinder rule doesn't come into play with this.
Perfect pass by Jay Crowder.
Of course it was.
Perfect pass.
And but I think that's the thing that shocked me the most last night was how many people were confused.
I know.
About the goaltending rule.
It just added to all the confusion on the whole end of that game, which was just a nightmare. But it was a good pass, and Jay Crowder, again, if you want to make the playoffs, you need to have him on your team. Because he's forever in the playoffs. Every team he plays
forever in the playoffs, but never won a title.
No, he has not.
And get his team so close. This may be the magical year that Jay Crowder finally gets that ring after having his teams in the playoffs. Phoenix Suns 104-103 over the LA Clippers. It's a 2-0 series. I think this thing's going to be done in 4, especially if Kawhi Leonard can't come back. And the fact that we're not hearing anything about Kawhi Leonard makes me real concerned. Like, I don't feel like this is just one of those injuries where, we're just playing it close to the vest and we're not letting anything out. I feel like if there was even a hint that he would be back in this series, there would be some talk about it.
Kawhi Leonard doesn't even strike me as a kind of guy that even if he could come back, would come back.
Really?
Yeah. I'm telling you, that guy drives me absolutely bonkers. I mean, I'm not saying if he could come back. Let's just say they said, you could play, but you could injure. Like if you play, you could injure yourself, and it would be really, really bad. I think he would be like, I'll just stay home, wait till next year.
Wow,
he's got his rings.
He has never struck me as that kind of player.
Really? Because he sat out an entire year at San Antonio just to get out of there. He's taken more games off than anybody else in this league.
Yeah, but that was, I don't know, that was different to me.
He was injured. I'm going to put that in very strong quotation marks. For that whole year, he quit on that team. He barely plays. I could seriously see him saying, if they said, well, you can play, but if you get hurt, you're going to be out for a whole nother year.
Right.
I could see him saying,
well, in that scenario, I would probably make that decision of saying, screw it.
No. If you have a chance at a title, you play.
They had a chance at a title last year and hadn't been able to do it.
Yeah.
That's fine. I've got a group of guys that I feel like I'm going to be close to having a title shot again next year.
It's the Clippers, dude.
It is the Clippers.
Yeah.
And they're not going to win.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
I don't know that I can ever see them ever winning an NBA championship.
It would just be hilarious.
But of course, I said the same thing one day about the Phoenix Suns. And here I am today talking a different tune about Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton and Cam Johnson and Cameron Payne. And see, that's the thing is, everybody was so worried about these playoffs and not having the big name stars involved in the playoffs. I actually kind of feel like this is opening people's eyes to newer opportunities. And when I say opportunities, I mean viewing opportunities in the NBA.
Yeah.
We're seeing different stars being highlighted now with some of the same usual pieces.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a fan of Devin Booker's. I think that the Chris Paul going there helped him out. I think if you watch this team play in the last 8 games of the bubble last year, you kind of had this feeling they were taking a step in the right direction. And I agree. I know that people are talking about how this could be really low in ratings. As a basketball fan, I'm looking at a possible Suns and Bucks series, and I'm actually interested for it because to me, it's like Chris Paul going after his first title and Giannis having to try to get to his first title. And so I'm intrigued, and I feel like that should be a narrative that they're pushing to try to get the laissez-faire fan coming in. But, it's kind of nice. You're seeing more guys step up and more players be brought to the highlights.
Well, they would be pushing that if there was more confidence that matchup was going to happen.
Oh.
Don't sell short the Atlanta Hawks, man. I'm telling you, there's something about this Hawks team that makes me feel like they got a shot to shock the world here.
And let's be clear here. I have not chosen most of these series pretty well so far, this playoff series. I would say if I say something, you go the opposite way, you probably could make some money. I feel like that's about to change. I did say Phoenix is going to win this series. I do think Milwaukee is going to win that series.
I believe Milwaukee will probably win the series as well, but I think it's going to be a very hard-fought 6 to 7 game series. I don't even see this being the blowout that you and Jeremy believe it's going to be. You just don't have enough faith in Trae Young, and I get it. You hate his hair.
I don't.
Oh, by the way, I meant to tell you this the other day. We were watching the Hawks game, and my wife's watching, and she sees Trae Young come down the floor, and he pops one from 40 feet out, and she looks over at me, and she goes, "How old is that guy?" And I said, "I don't know. He's
21.
like 19, 20, 21 years old, something like that." And she goes, "He has the face of a baby angel, but he has the hair of somebody who should be in a retirement home."
Yeah.
And I immediately thought of Brian, who constantly picks on the wispy hair.
Dude, the kid should be Rogaine. I'm telling you. I mean, if he's not getting a Rogaine.
The Sports Tank.
Just a bit outside.
All right, here's the 411, folks.
Were you going to say if he's not getting a Rogaine commercial, he's doing it wrong?
That's exactly what I was going with.
Oh, stop that. Just for men. He's only got to thicken it up. He doesn't have to grow it back. So yesterday, we had the story come out about Tight End University. Tight End University begins today.
Okay.
40 to 50 tight ends in the NFL all coming together for this 3-day symposium on playing the tight end position.
Okay.
That was put together by George Kittle and Travis Kelce.
Good for them.
They were saying, look, we understand, we've heard fantasy football players for years talk about how horrible the tight end position is and how top heavy it is, so we're going to share our secrets of the game with everyone so we can come together and train together, swap ideas on how we can basically, as a collective group in the NFL, lift the tight end position. Because it's often forgot about.
It is.
Unless you have, unless you're those teams that have Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Darren Waller, now Kyle Pitts.
It's kind of a way to get them to actually make some more money, I think.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. If there's more competition, then we'll be able to make more money. Sure, I can see the path you're going down on that one. So George Kittle goes on the Pardon My Take podcast.
Okay.
And they asked him, why is Tim Tebow not at Tight End University?
Oh, my God.
And George Kittle basically answered the question. I'm not going to read his exact quote, but his response was essentially, why would we do that?
Yeah.
This guy's not an actual tight end.
No, he's not.
In fact, in his direct quote, he said, why would I not invite the backup tight end for the New York Giants, who I believe is Kyle Rudolph?
Kyle Rudolph.
Why would we not invite him over a guy who just picked up the football to play tight end this year?
Yeah.
And is 33 years old and is on the worst team in the league. And why would we do that? Why would we waste a spot at tight end university for Tim Tebow? Now, he did say if Tebow makes it through a whole season as a tight end and he actually does something this year, we'll be glad to invite him to tight end university next year.
Oh, boy.
But I thought it was great and refreshing to have to have an actual NFL star tight end go, y'all are crazy.
Yep.
This is the biggest joke.
It's a slap in the
NFL.
face to all our tight ends is basically what he was saying, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that he has to be answered like he's done. He and Travis Kelce have put together this tight end symposium, and the only thing, or one of the main things that people want to talk about is, ooh, are you going to bring Tim Tebow in?
Yeah.
No, we're not, because he's not a serious football player.
I don't care about him at all, ever. Here's the thing. Los Angeles Lakers guard Alex Caruso was arrested on Tuesday night in Texas on charges of possession of marijuana and drug paraphernalia.
Don't do crimes.
Don't do crimes. Caruso was booked by Texas A&M University Police. That's a thing? Like, I thought they're not just rent-a-cops, I guess. At Texas A&M. And he was released shortly after he posted a $3,000 bond, which, come on, he's a professional basketball player. Big deal. Caruso's mugshot was posted online. His charges are listed on the Brazos County, Texas Jail Records website. He was charged with possession of marijuana under 2 ounces and a possession of drug paraphernalia. In Texas, this is basically a Class B misdemeanor. He could face up to 180 days in jail and a $2,000 fine.
Which you'll never see a court.
It's never going to happen. Alex must have thought he was still in Los Angeles and not in the state of Texas. And things didn't go well for him there.
He thought he'd be cool. He's in a college town. Things should be looser here.
Yeah, he went back to his old college and was like, yeah, we're going to party.
See, that was the thing that I pulled out of the story more than anything was, Alex lives in L.A., right? They have marijuana in L.A., don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Did he go back to college to visit his weed man?
I mean,
just for old time's sake? Hey,
I don't know that question. Answer that question. I would feel like if he drove from California to Texas, which he probably didn't. I'm sure he flew.
No, absolutely not.
But he's, he paid his $552 fine for the paraphernalia. And,
Did you read the whole story on what they found on him? It wasn't like he had a brick or anything.
No.
It was his grinder.
Oh.
He had his grinder, and it had pot in it.
Grinding. You know when to keep in line with. Sorry.
And to me, this just screamed, wow, so this is where we're at now with enforcement of marijuana laws. Is like anything under 2 ounces
is considered. So when you say under 2 ounces, people just assume that he had almost 2 ounces.
Right, exactly.
But he didn't.
No,
it
just falls into that category.
He had a bowl and a grinder.
Other than the fact, other than the possibility that he had a grinder the size of my computer screen.
It's Texas, man. It's not going to happen pretty soon. You know what I'm saying? Just do it in all. Don't do crimes, man.
Look,
don't
when
do crimes.
When you go through TSA security, and they pick up the scent,
yeah,
there's not really a lot they can do.
Yeah,
it can't really save you at that point.
No, it's an. Poor Alex.
I've heard you had to stuff it in a sock with some coffee beans, but I don't know anything about that. I've never tried it. I've read things on the internet.
I'm a jar of peanut butter, hole out the peanut butter, put it in there, and put the peanut butter back on top.
And then you put the peanut butter in your suitcase?
Yeah, the jar.
And then are they not going to ask questions of why where's a jar of peanut butter?
I
in
like
your suitcase?
peanut butter, bro. And the dogs aren't going to smell it because they just smell the peanut butter.
Ah.
Not that I've ever tried to do things like this in my lifetime.
Yeah, these are just things that we've read on the internet.
Yeah,
these are quotes from other people.
Other quotes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So anyway, all in all, Alex Caruso, don't do crimes.
Don't do crimes. Here at the Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene, we believe that if you do crimes, you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, this is no longer, we're not.
Don't do crimes.
Can't do it. Don't do crimes. Yeah. Last night in Major League Baseball, we had our first official controversy with the new Goo Patrol. As the umpires are out looking for the spider tack, and I guess that's just really it. The spider tack and Vaseline and Bardol and Vagisil. They're looking for all the things that pitchers use to get a little bit of an advantage on the mound. We have the periodic checks that are being done. And I get it. I'm fully in the camp of the pitchers on this one. It's embarrassing to come out of the dugout and have the ump check you down and make you unbuckle your pants.
Right.
It's just ridiculous. Like, this is the place we've come in Major League Baseball now. We're having just routine frisking sessions before and in between batters and in between innings. It's kind of ridiculous. However, I do understand going down this path. But here's the part that I didn't think we'd get to this quickly. Of the opposing manager calling out a guy being suspicious on the mound.
Yeah.
But, I mean, again, I said this at the top of the program. I'm not surprised. It came from a Yankee.
Well, here's the thing. If you were going to name out of all the managers in baseball, if someone was going to do this first,
right,
Joe Girardi was 1, 2, and 3 on that list. The guy's got a Napoleon syndrome complex. He's out there in his post-game conference like, I've watched Max Scherzer over the years, and I've never seen him go to his hair that much.
Right.
Now, let me just put something under your bonnet for a second.
Okay.
I'm a guy who's had hair. Yeah. And, back in the day, I used to use gel or whatnot in my hair. These days, I kind of just let it flow. But, when you'd get sweaty, and you'd rub your hand through the hair. Playing basketball and I had gel in my hair. If I rubbed my hand through it, my hands would get sticky.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
There is a path to where someone could be doing these kind of things as a way to get an extra grip on the baseball.
Could be.
I'm not saying Max Scherzer did that. This is not neither here nor there. Max Scherzer did say that he was having problems building up some sweat to get,
right,
to wet his hand a little bit to get to the rosin, to get to this stuff. But
right, what he said was, I've been using the rosin bag, but while you got the sticky stuff on your hands, you still need a little bit of moisture so it doesn't get fully tacky.
Exactly.
So he started licking his fingertips.
Yeah.
And then he's got that rosin taste in his mouth.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to do that anymore. But it wasn't really a hot night last night, so he wasn't sweating, so he could just kind of get some sweat off the back of his neck. The only place it was really sweaty was up under his hat. So he kept, swooshing the hair to get a little bit of moisture onto his hands.
Yeah.
And I get, part of me gets where Joe Girardi's coming from. Like, he's a guy that I'm pretty familiar with. I've watched him over the years, and I've never seen him rub his hair all that much when he's on the mound. But here's the thing. Do you honestly think, and this is part of what Max Scherzer said after the game, do you honestly think, with as high as this is on everybody's radar right now, he would be a moron to try to get away with it now?
There's nobody in baseball that's going to do this at all right now. They're going to, it could be, you might have, what are your over under how many pitchers get suspended for the rest of this year? I would say, I would put it at 1, and it would be over under, and I'm not sure about that.
I think they might have a couple.
I don't know. I mean, it's not like we've had guys get. I mean, this is not like Michael Pineda out there putting pine tar on his.
Who was his catcher, by the way?
On his neck.
Who was his catcher when that happened? Michael Pineda?
It wasn't Joe Girardi.
His manager. Excuse me, his manager?
He was the manager, yes. I mean, he had it on his neck. You could see it playing his day.
No doubt.
It was really stupid.
Right.
What I'm here for, though, with all this stuff is when they did go out to check Scherzer, he basically threw his hat, his glove, and just started about to drop trowel, just like Sergio Romo did. And I'm all
so
in it.
Great.
Sergio Romo's the man. He's always been a bit crazy. I'm all in for Trevor Bauer coming out in his next.
Oh gosh!
Can you imagine what's going to happen?
It's so big. It would be so great. Here's what I want Trevor Bauer to do. I want Trevor Bauer to come out for his next start looking like Nuke LaLoosh from Bull Durham. Remember in the dream scene where he had the garter belt on and he had nothing else on, just the jock strap and the garter belt and his hat.
Yeah.
His glove and cleats, and come out just like that.
I could totally see Trevor Bauer
Trevor
doing
Bauer needs to do that. Now, obviously, they would suspend him for that. It would be an above and beyond kind of, a conduct violation, I'm sure. But I don't care. I still feel like Trevor Bauer needs to be the one to do this. Mm-hmm. He'd just come out and look, see, I'm clean. I'm clean. And then he can have a bat boy, like, bring him his uniform out onto the mound.
Yeah, that's probably not the best idea.
I mean, if we're going to make fun of this thing, let's make fun of it.
And Trevor Bauer would be the guy to do it. And I would be all in for it.
Because that's where we're at right now. All of the pitchers are so miffed about this.
So, like, I get it after the first inning. That's what they're going to do. They did it after the third inning to him as well. And then, then Girardi calls him out too. So, yes. And why? Because baseball.
Because baseball. Because they can't do, we can't just focus on the good things that are happening with the sport right now. We've got to focus on these ancillary things. Yeah. And it's not, I guess Major League Baseball opens themselves up for this kind of thing with the crackdown on the goo balls and all that. But it's also, it's the media. It's the media's fault. Mm-hmm. Every time you see anything about baseball these days, what's it about? If it's not about this in the past 3 or 4 weeks, it's about bat flips and bench clearers.
Yep.
It's the only thing that ever gets any coverage from mainstream media about baseball.
Meanwhile,
there's not a lot of focus on the great things that are happening right now. Jacob deGrom is having one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen in Major League Baseball from a pitcher. There are only like 4 guys on the short list who have been like under an ERA of 1 through 12 starts.
Right. And you got Ohtani just doing crazy things. He hit his 23rd the other day.
He's so good.
He's playing out there. Ronald Acuna Jr. is an absolute beast of a player. Mm-hmm. You got this kid coming up, Wander Franco. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of great about baseball right now. These young stars, Fernando Tatis, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., all these guys are playing great.
Did you see Vlad's not going to be in the home run derby?
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's sad. That's sad.
However, we do know that we have at least 2 participants. Shohei Ohtani is going to be in it.
Boom.
And
Alonso. He's
Pete
going to
Alonso.
come back. Yep. To defend his title, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. How much fun is that going to be, by the way? A home run derby in Coors Field.
I know.
With that light air.
There's going to be 450,000 home runs.
I'm going to go ahead and plant my flag on. There will be a record broken in this home run derby. Someone will.
From all accounts, when people talk about Ohtani too, when they talk about his batting practice, they said it's unbelievable. It's like, I guess they were pointing to like what McGuire and Sosa were doing back in the day in their batting practices when people were actually showing up for the batting practice to see this.
Right.
Like he's that insane of a baseball player.
And lo and behold, he can also throw 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. Pretty good pitcher
with
as well.
Pinpoint precision.
Pretty good pitcher as well. But that's the thing. It's sad because, as a baseball fan, it's just this is what baseball does.
Yeah.
They turn a blind eye to things, and then they try to be the holier than thou and change
when it gets
things.
out of control.
When it gets out of control, and then they try to be this. We need to stop this right now. Blah 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 blah, and it's just so annoying.
Well, one thing we do need to put a stop to, though, is manager challenges. These manager challenges of he's doing something suspicious. You need to go out there and check him in the middle of an inning. If you're going to do that, Major League Baseball needs to have some kind of a penalty when the manager is wrong. And what should those penalties be? We'll talk about that up next right here on ESPN Asheville.
Process.
That's ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. We're talking about this goo gate in Major League Baseball. The crackdown on the spider tack and everything. And we have to go to the phone lines here.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
If you had in Sports Tank Bingo that the first time I would ever call into a show with my name on it would be to talk about baseball, you win instantaneously.
You just hit the lottery, my friend. Mr. Jeremy Greene.
Hey, buddy.
All right.
That was plus 20 million, just so you know.
All right. So tell me, what do you think of this circus?
So, as we all know, I'm not a baseball guy.
No.
The first thing I have seen of baseball this year was Max Scherzer unbuttoning his pants on the pitching mound to prove that he didn't have sticky things on him. Because baseball.
Yes. Yep. 100%. Oh, man.
And Brian said something about, of course it was Joe Girardi. Of course it was Joe Girardi.
Yeah.
Of course it was.
Why would it be anyone else? I'm going to be honest. I've heard a lot of takes over the course of the day because I've been in the car a lot today.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, we shouldn't do replay. That's not the answer. There's a very simple answer. We should do replay, and it should not be up to coaches ever, 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 ever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
It blows my mind that these baseball managers can just say, I think he touched his head too many times.
He was acting
That's
suspicious.
the most preposterous thing I've ever heard in my life.
yeah.
So here's the thing. If you call him out and you get it wrong, should there be a penalty?
Yes, they have to play the rest of the inning with their pants down.
I
100%.
I don't actually hate that. All right, we gotta let you go here. We'll get to a couple more of these. Enjoy the rest of your day, sir. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, big guy.
You as well. Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir. Mr. Jeremy Greene calling in to the Sports Tank
What
with
a
Jeremy Greene.
surprise. That was a nice surprise. That was a nice surprise.
No, I honestly do believe there needs to be some kind of a guard against this. Now, in the rule, Major League Baseball wrote that if the league feels like you just did it to interrupt the mojo of the pitcher or the flow of the game, that we can step in and punish you. But I think there needs to be an instant punishment in the game. And so here's a little list I came up with. First off, you could just give him an out. Just straight up say, we're going to add an out if you get it wrong. If you accuse a pitcher of cheating and you're wrong, to me, if you call me a cheater, I'm going to take offense to that. And there needs to be a punishment when you're wrong. So give him an out. You like that?
I could see, first and foremost, baseball's never going to do anything. But I could see this being something. Now, I mean, Girardi kind of interrupted their inning. They had guys on first and third when this happened. So it was kind of surprising to me that he did it at that point. Because, what, he's going to throw him off there a little bit? I mean, I don't know. But that, I could see them giving an out, like somebody saying, because it's just going to be so... I don't know if anybody else is going to do it after what just happened.
How about this? How about you don't get any more challenges? Your manager challenge.
That's the answer right there. You lose a manager challenge if you use that as one of your challenges, basically.
Right. You get one. You get one in any regular season game.
Right.
So that's your challenge.
Yep.
If you've already used your challenge in the game, then you can't challenge whether or not the pitcher's cheating.
I 100% agree with that.
And if you're wrong, you lose.
That is the answer, 100%. And I think baseball could do that. That's something they may be able to do.
You could also fine them, but there again, they make a lot of money. They may not be, $5,000 fine.
Yeah.
I don't know if they go down with that. I did hear a couple of instances that I like. I love Jeremy's idea of making the manager manage the rest of the inning without his pants on.
That would be good.
How about the chair of shame? Every stadium can have their own manager chair of shame, and he has to sit there for the rest of the game.
Okay. I could see, how about they make that manager be the ball boy for the next half inning?
Oh, that's a good one. And the other one is spider tack him to the foul pole. Let's do that one. Sports Center's coming up next.
This is the Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene.
You look at my numbers, I'm balling.
Beer City's best sports talk is on the air. Get involved. Call 252-4348. Tweet the show at Sports Tank ESPN. The Sports Tank. Come get you some of this.
Can't wait. Welcome into the ESPN Asheville 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. The Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene, heard everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. The Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene, without Jeremy Greene, although he made a surprise appearance there late in the hour.
It was a friendly surprise.
To talk baseball.
It was unbelievable.
Of all the things. Anyway, Brian Haynes filling in for Mr. Jeremy Greene once again today and doing a fantastic job of it.
Thank you.
We have the Ingles Chew on that segment coming up later on in the program. Caleb Peak's going to get more into this whole baseball fiasco with the goo patrols. I'm never going to call it anything other than that.
Yeah,
I don't remember who said it. I think it actually might have been Buster Olney that said it. said it that way, and I went, "Yep, that's it.
That's where I'm going.
I'm referring it to as the Goo Patrol from now on." But all of that going on in baseball is crazy. We had a lot going on in the NBA last night. First hour, we talked about the Los Angeles Clippers and the Phoenix Suns, the fantastic finish that was last night, even though it took more than a half an hour to do 2 minutes of basketball. NBA stepping on its own toes in that scenario, but there again, at that point, I feel like you were locked into the end of that game anyway. If you were awake and you were lucid, you were going to stick through the 30-minute wait to find out how that thing ended. I was not. I was not lucid at all.
No. I watched every second of it.
After the Red Sox and the Rays went to 11 innings, and the Red Sox ended up coming out on top, ruining the magical Major League debut of Wander Franco. I was done. I was done with the night. I also caught the College Bowl last night. Did you see any of that? No, you didn't. Oh, that's right. You weren't here yesterday, and we didn't talk about that. I was talking about that with Jeremy. College Bowl was an old-timey radio show back in World War II, and they started having college students come in and it's a quiz game between two schools.
And Peyton Manning's
back hosting.
I saw a commercial for that the other day. Very intrigued.
It was awesome.
I love that. It's all sports trivia, right?
No. It's like Jeopardy college trivia.
Well, listen. I love trivia. I watch Jeopardy all the time. I consider myself a knowledge of just about everything stupid.
Right.
When it comes to pop culture, music, these kind of things, I'm kind of an idiot savant.
Are you?
Yeah.
Really?
I know it all.
I'm kind of that way too. I love trivia games.
Yeah.
When we went on our first cruise, Carnival Cruise Lines, they have all the trivia games that you can play throughout the day on the ship. I left that cruise with 13 trophies.
Nice.
They give you the little cheapo plastic ships on a stick.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
I had about 13 of those in my suitcase. And we were sitting there last night, and what was the question that I got that neither of the teams got? Oh, it was what state was the father of George Herbert Walker Bush? What state was he the senator of? And then nobody knew. Everybody guessed Texas. It was Connecticut.
Yeah.
Everybody forgets, old George W. came down from Texas. They think that family's just died in the wool in Texas. No, sir. They were Yankees.
Yeah.
They were carpetbaggers.
Oh. I say for shame on you for naming them carpetbaggers.
Oh, should I? Is that one of those terms you're not supposed to say anymore?
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying I am from the northern area of the country.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
And that's
kind of where you're going with that?
Well, I mean, that was just a coincidence, honestly. Yeah. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That was just a coincidence.
Just continuing to take shots at me all day
long. We talk
long.
about the Yankees coming down here and screwing things up. Anyway, that was one of those questions that she gave me that look like, not just a hat rack, babe.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah. Lots of useless knowledge up in here.
Yeah. Master of useless knowledge.
So the College Bowl was fun. I encourage everybody to take that in. Cooper Manning played the exact role that you thought he would.
Yeah, the sidekick.
He is the Andy Richter of game shows.
Okay.
That's exactly the role that he's playing. Every time Peyton says something profound and smart, then they go to Cooper and he says something incredibly dumb.
Yeah.
I guess it works out for everybody.
Good for him. I mean, his son.
It's a paycheck.
His son is about to make Cooper pretty well.
No doubt about it. I was reading an article yesterday that was talking about this, the rise of the college athlete and how, schools are going to start they're going to start paying guys and the name, image, and likeness thing. And imagine how much money Arch Manning, the son of Cooper, the grandson of Archie Manning, is going to be able to make off of this. As he's
up the
was he a freshman?
Truck.
Or is this I think this is his sophomore year in high school.
Yeah,
he's a sophomore in high school, and this kid can already cash in.
That the throw that you saw from the Clemson camp, if you haven't seen it yet, is he threw a 50-yard dime piece touchdown, and it was just, I was like, oh man, if only Eli threw like that.
Yeah, you might have 4 Super Bowl trophies.
Exactly. I mean, he did his 2. I mean, Hall of Famer.
Hey, he got you 2.
Hall of Famer.
I'm
Hall of Famer.
He's unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, two Super Bowls is hard to argue with.
Yeah.
I'm
And he
going to
beat-
lose that Eli Manning is not a Hall of Famer battle every time.
Did you see the Eli Manning dad joke against Tom Brady?
No.
What is Tom Brady's favorite wine?
What?
I can't beat the Giants. He did that the other day. Eli Manning now back with the New York Giants.
He is.
Yeah.
We had all the Mannings in the news yesterday.
Yeah.
We had Peyton and Cooper's new TV show kicking off last night, and then Eli signing the contract with the New York Giants to be, what was it, corporate relations and something else. I can't remember what it was.
They found a job for him.
But he was so happy that for the first time he's got an office with his name on it.
Yeah.
Because he's never had one of those.
There you go.
Like, I'm pretty sure you could have made one of those in your house that probably has 19 rooms in it.
Right. He's probably fine.
You probably could create your own office, but, it's all little victories. What else can you give a guy who has everything?
I know.
Who has millions of dollars in the bank, is getting ready to be a Hall of Famer, has 2 Super Bowl trophies. What are you going to get him? That's pretty much it. We give you an office with your name on it.
You come up with a new title for some sort of job within the franchise.
Right. Last night was the NBA lottery. We had the Detroit Pistons winning the lottery, getting the number 1 overall pick. I think it's a no-brainer. It is a no-brainer that they will add Cade Cunningham and they will ruin his career.
Yeah, I feel so bad for him. I have a lot of friends who are Detroit Pistons fans. They were extremely happy, and they all said without 100, if they don't draft Cade Cunningham, they're going to riot, basically. But this team has got some young players. And
are you trying to be nice right now?
I don't know. I guess I am. I mean, their roster is
awful.
Is real bad.
Awful is the word you're looking for.
Yeah. I'm looking it up right now. Not very good.
No,
it's not.
And they got Killian Hayes.
I mean, they got Jeremy Grant.
You got Sadiq Bey. And Jeremy Grant you overpaid for in the offseason last year.
But did you?
Yeah. I think he ended up getting like $40 million or something. That's too much.
Dennis Smith Jr. Yeah.
I mean, you look at this and it looks
they're
like
going to have USA invitee Mason Plumlee on their team as well.
Hey, there you go.
They did draft Isaiah Stewart last year, which I think was, he does things.
I want to see how many excuses you can make for this god-awful roster that includes guys like Jahlil Okafor and Josh Jackson. Oh
my God.
I remember being a Josh Jackson fan going, yeah, that kid's going to come in. He's going to light things up. No.
Corey Joseph is still playing basketball.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. God, he's only 29. Holy crap. Rodney Magruder. I remember him from his Kansas State days. Holy cow. Yeah.
It's just a collection of not real good.
Yeah.
Outside
Wayne
of
Ellington's on this team. I mean, good grief.
you can't really talk smack about Wayne Ellington. Come on.
Okay.
He's a prolific shooter. Prolific.
Yeah, I never really liked his jump shot. It was just ugly looking. I could say Sadiq Bey,
I will not talk smack about Wayne Ellington. Everybody else is fair game.
Yeah.
Especially Corey Joseph.
Yeah. Saban Lee. I've never heard of that feller in my entire life. Apparently he went to Vanderbilt. Frank Jackson.
Davidas Servetus? He could be something.
Davidas Servetus. Yeah.
That's another thing about this upcoming NBA draft class. Not a lot of high international prospects.
There is a couple.
There are a couple, but I mean, I feel like there's way fewer than there usually are. Because usually, like, you're looking at mock drafts from guys who know way more about this than we do. That's why we read the mock drafts, because we want to know what the actual people who do the scouting and pay attention to all these guys. Because I just can't keep up. I'm not Fran Fraschilla, and I don't care. I honestly could not care less. Before Luka Doncic's name was ever mentioned as an NBA prospect, I couldn't care less who he is.
I had no idea. I mean, there's a couple guys that are going to probably be drafted in the top 15. You got Josh Giddey, the Australian. He's 6'8", 205 pounds. Kind of, looks like he could be like a Gordon Hayward in this league. You have,
which fits in perfectly at number 11.
Yeah, that's why he's probably going to be drafted to the Charlotte Hornets. Alperen Sengun, the Turkish 6'10", 240 pounder. he could do things in this league. Maybe. I've never heard much about him. But, then I think after that, you get down into the Usman Garuba, 6'8" guy out of Spain. He's been playing for the, the Real Madrid basketball team. The Spanish basketball league is actually pretty decent. So, there's been a couple guys that have come out of that way. But, that's about it. That's about all I can see.
All right. I just feel like normally I'm going through this scenario of trying to get ready a month out from the draft, which we are right now. The draft is on July 29th.
Crazy.
And I feel like every mock draft I see has, I know that guy. Who's that?
Yeah.
Who's that guy? Wait, there's 6 of them in the first 15 picks? I don't know any of these guys. Now, however, on the other hand, I know all of these guys. Now, you may not have seen Jalen Greene play because he was with the G League Ignite team, or Jonathan Kuminga, same thing. But other than that, if you watched college basketball and you were tuned in, you know every guy, just about every guy that's going to be drafted in the first round.
And here's the thing. When Jalen Greene and Jonathan Kuminga both get picked within the top 6 or 7 picks, that is going to show you right away that all these players are going to do this now. Because we haven't quite seen the guys who have skipped.
Maybe.
Really? I mean,
maybe.
How many guys who have skipped and done this have gotten drafted high so far? This is going to be the first draft where we're going to see this. And I think this is going to be, people are going to say, I can not have to go to college, get paid, and still get drafted in the lottery. I think I'll go do that.
Right.
I'll go do that.
And I am not against that. If that's the path you want to go down, I will just say there are cases where it doesn't always work. I'm trying to think of the kid's name, but it's not coming to me. One of the other ones that went to the G League this past year, and Daisha Nix.
Yeah.
He was one of the top recruits coming out of high school, went into the G League, and now he's, he might get drafted.
Yeah.
He might not. I mean, not in the first round.
No.
I mean, overall, he may not get drafted.
I mean, Darius Baisley did it. He didn't go to Syracuse. He decided to go to the G League. He got drafted in 18?
In the 20s.
He did get drafted pretty low. He had a pretty decent rookie season this year for OKC. So, but I mean, he wasn't lottery. That's what I'm saying. That's what we're looking at. I'm sure you saw that Day'Ron Sharpe is coming back. He's not entering the draft.
Oh, he pulled out?
He pulled out of the draft.
Oh, nice.
I don't know. I couldn't get too deep into the article if he was coming back.
I saw Armando Bacot made the decision to come back to school.
Yeah, so I don't know if he's coming back to, is he going to be in the transfer portal, or is he going to go back to North Carolina? Because that would be pretty big for Hubert Davis if he gets both those guys back. Here's a couple guys that I'm talking about with this lottery. And I think it's deep. It's pretty deep. The more I thought I mentioned something to you earlier today that I don't think it's as deep, and then I kind of looked into it and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty deep. A couple guys that I think are going to be in that 15 to 20 range. Maybe some get drafted higher that I think are going to be impact players. I really do think that Franz Wagner from Michigan, the kid, the 6'9", 220-pound left-hander, I think he's going to make it. I could see him being like a Sabonis in the Pacers. And I know that's kind of a weak comparison because they're both left-handed and blah, 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 blah. And also another one I like Zaire Williams out of Stanford. I do. I like that kid. I think he's going to be a good player in this league. Is there any guys that you are looking at?
I think there are a lot.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of guys that could be impact players at the next level. Mm-hmm. I mean, yesterday, Jeremy and I talked about it leading up to the lottery that, there are 4 guys at the top of this draft that could be classified as franchise changers.
Okay.
So you got Evan Mobley, you got Cade Cunningham, Jalen Suggs, and Jalen Greene.
Uh-huh.
From there down, maybe these aren't guys that are going to change your franchise, but I believe that there are still really good players.
Starters in this league.
Starters, yeah, absolutely. Starters
they
in this
league. They
might
not be as rookies, but a couple years down the line, they're going to be starters in this league.
Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes is going to come in. He's going to be an immediate starter, and he's going to be an immediate scorer for somebody, probably for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Davion Mitchell. He's going to be a two-way player, 3-and-D.
I love Davion Mitchell.
The guy is he's a scrapper.
Yep.
and he gets after it. He improved his shot every year in college, and obviously was one of the key pieces to taking Baylor to the national championship this past year. I like Keon Johnson. I like Franz Wagner. Corey Kispert, I think, is going to have a really long career in this league, just being that J.J. Redick type of, 3-point assassin, Kyle Korver kind of guy.
I can see that.
And I think he'll be a 15-year veteran in this league. He may never make an all-star team, but he might win a 3-point championship or two in the all-star weekend.
There you go, like a Tim Legler. Hey, Tim
There
Legler.
you go.
He's legs.
Yeah.
Moses Moody.
Yep.
Big time. I think he's going to be a starter in this league for sure.
I don't know about, I've been told by some that Jared Butler may not translate well to the NBA. However, he is one of my boyfriends from Baylor, so I am going to continue.
Your boyfriends. I love that Baylor team.
I did. I loved Baylor with Maceo Teague and Jared Butler and
we all
Davion
know why you
Mitchell.
like Maceo Teague.
Of course, because he's from here and I covered him, and that's fine. We're going to talk about another guy that's having big success that I've also covered in my radio career coming up later on in this program. But like Trey Mann is going to be an amazing shooter.
Yeah.
Sharif Cooper, yes, he's short, but I feel like he's athletic enough to make an impact at the point guard position in the NBA. Chris Duarte is going to be a big guy. Ayo Dosunmu is incredibly athletic. I think this is a very deep draft. I mean, I just gave you 16 guys?
I know,
it felt
right?
like.
I mean, seriously.
But I feel like this is a very, very deep draft. So even if even though I was bummed out last night as I was sitting at El Chapala having dinner with my family.
Ooh, El Chapala.
I love El Chapala. But as I'm sitting there with the family having dinner, we're watching the draft lottery, and I started to get real excited, hoping that the Charlotte Hornets were going to jump up into one of those top 4 spots.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, didn't happen.
No.
We're there at 11 to pick. And I got kind of down. And then I thought, you know what? But there's so much opportunity for a guy who can come in and be a really good player in this league. I just hope that they don't focus on getting a guy like Day'Ron Sharpe, which very well could happen. You were wrong about that, by the way. Day'Ron Sharpe did not pull out of the draft. He pulled out of the combine.
Oh.
He pulled out of the combine because the thought is that he's gotten a promise from somebody.
Oh, okay.
And I am concerned that somebody might be the Charlotte Hornets.
Oh, okay. I totally read that completely wrong.
Right.
Holy cow.
Well, it said he withdrew, and so
I did say I didn't get deep into the article.
Right. So he withdrew from the combine. He did not withdraw from the draft. He's already signed an agent. He's gone. He's not coming back. Although Carolina did get the news, what was it, yesterday, day before yesterday, Armando Bacot's coming back. So a lot of people happy about that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You're in the Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene here on ESPN Asheville, 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400. Yes, another guy that I have covered in my broadcasting career is in the news today in the sports world, and it is in the NBA. And he very well could be the next head coach of the Boston Celtics. We'll talk about Ime Udoka coming up.
You mark it now.
Coaching path of one Ime Udoka, because one of my first sports jobs in radio was working on the broadcasts of the North Charleston Lowgators in the NBDL, the new NBDL. And yes, in 2002, Ime Udoka was a 4th-round pick in the NBDL draft by the North Charleston Lowgators. He was, for 3 years, he was the best thing that we had to put on the floor.
Wow.
So, yes, when Ime came up in the NBA and he was bouncing around team to team to team to team, I mean, he is the definition of a basketball journeyman.
Yes.
I mean, starts out actually, he didn't even start out in the NBDL. I don't even remember where he came from to the NBDL. I think it was in the Mexican League.
He was overseas. He played at in Europe for the Fargo. That's not true. That's not true at all.
Was that in North Dakota?
I guess so. But He played at San Francisco. He transferred to Portland State. He went undrafted. After which he started his professional basketball career in the NBDL. He was there first. But there's other teams that had passed on him. He was on the Lakers preseason team before, all these kind of things. He's bounced around. He played for the Nigerian Olympic team. So he was a
Nick for 8 games.
He was a Nick for 8 games. He basically did spent a lot of time with the Spurs. That was his longest tenure. And then he ended up becoming an assistant coach with Pop.
Yep.
And we all know what that leads to.
That leads you to a job.
That gets you an NBA coaching job.
Right. And the word coming out of Boston is that they have reached a deal with Ime Udoka to be their next head coach. He's been an assistant coach in the league for the last 9 years. Most of that time spent under Pop at San Antonio. We have long all thought that Ime Udoka, Becky Hammond, Tim Duncan, these are all assistant coaches under Pop that are going to get head coaching jobs at some point.
I agree.
I'm glad to see Ime get his due.
Yeah.
After he's been grinding for so long. And there's not a single player that I have ever seen that has a bad thing to say about Ime as a coach.
So he was when Papa was coaching Team USA, he was the assistant coach on there. So when they were out at the World Championships and they had guys on the team, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Marcus Smart were all with them. So they basically went to Brad Stevens and said, this is the guy that we want to be our head coach. And Stevens said, okay. And he went and hired him. And let's be honest here. We're 2 weeks into Brad Stevens' tenure? 2 home runs already, getting rid of Kemba's contract. There's been talk out of Boston is that they had a pretty contentious situation going on between the two of them, but he was able to unload that contract. Now he's able to get one of the rising assistant coaches to become who their players want. So this is, you go to your stars. This is, hey, Green Bay, this is how you do things. You listen to what your star wants. You do these kind of things like this.
Right.
So, basically they said this is who we wanted. Brad Stevens got him. And, let's hope this turns Boston's, fortunes around a little bit. I mean, they got a good young team. And they are in a position to throw a good package at Portland to get Dame Lillard. And if not, we'll see what they do.
I think they have to be all in. You got to be all in on Dame Lillard. To me, if you want to be relevant.
Yeah.
If you want to be relevant, you're going to throw everything you possibly can to get Dame Lillard, because it's the only way that you're going to be able to compete with a healthy Brooklyn team. Brooklyn comes back next year. They're fully healthy. They're the favorites.
I would have, yeah. I mean, maybe.
Maybe. Who are you going to put above them?
I don't know.
Milwaukee?
I just don't see them ever. I don't know. They're just always hurt. Someone's going to get hurt.
Right.
Like one of the 3 or 2 of the 3 are always hurt. It just always happens.
You're going to run that risk, yeah.
And then now Durant's going and playing in the Olympics. I'm not sure it was the best idea.
You don't want to mess with the groove, man.
Yeah,
don't mess with the groove.
He's just trying to play.
Right.
But I think it's a home run hire. I mean, this is a name that we've heard for a couple years now. The players love him. When you get to be an assistant coach with Pop, you automatically learn the coaching game here. When you get to be an assistant coach with USA Basketball, it always helps because then the players see you. The superstars are going to see you.
Right.
And you're going to end up, your name's going to end up being in their list.
Now, during the break, you mentioned that, being an assistant for Pop is like what we see in the NFL of everybody who's ever had lunch with Sean McVay getting a job. I think it's a little different only because it's Pop.
Yeah.
Sean McVay, he's I don't want to call him a flavor of the month, but pretty much that's what he's been over the last few years. Now, has it worked for him? Is he a genius? Yes, all of those things are true.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is there's a little bit of difference when you have the go ahead or the rubber stamp of approval from Sean McVay as opposed to having it from Greg Popovich.
Yeah. It carries a little bit more weight when it comes from Pop.
I mean, it's like I would equate this to more of the Bill Belichick coaching tree.
Maybe. Well, but nobody's done well.
They haven't done well. I'm not saying they've done well. We haven't seen what the assistants for the Spurs can do, because none of them have gotten jobs yet. So,
I mean, Bundelholzer, Bruce Brown.
oh, well, yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
I was thinking more of this class
Sorry.
of the assistants.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know, when you have a guy who coaches you as a player, and then immediately after your career is over says, don't pack your bags, come back.
Yeah.
Come back to San Antonio. I want you to be one of my assistants.
Yeah.
You have an all-time genius, franchise builder like Greg Popovich back you from get-go. You're going to be highly sought after.
I think Pop has to have seen something in him while he was playing for him that could say, you know what, you're going to be a good coach. Mm-hmm. And that's what's happening right now.
I mean, even when he was 22 years old, I mean, playing for the North Charleston Lowgators, you could see that he was the catalyst for that team. He was the leader of that team, despite the fact that, they were in the NBDL and playing against great teams like the Asheville Altitude.
Ooh, wait, there was an Asheville Altitude?
Yeah, there was. I forget.
Man.
I forget. You're from the Charlotte area. Actually, back in 2002, you probably weren't even living down south at that time.
Yes, I was. I actually moved down from upstate New York when it was 1999.
Oh, okay.
97.
So you were still fresh.
Yeah.
You were still fresh. You didn't feel like you could call yourself a Southerner.
Yeah, I've actually been down in the South now longer than I was in the North. So.
Yeah, it doesn't count. Yeah. Just so you know, that doesn't count.
Okay.
You're always a Yankee.
Okay.
Once a Yankee, always a Yankee.
I say y'all.
Oh, that's just lipstick on a pig. I mean,
I reckon
that doesn't mean a lot. Oh, now you're just going to try to throw out every colloquialism that you can to try to make us feel like you're one of us. See how it is.
When I've gone back home and I've said things like y'all or I reckon, I get a look of death.
Right.
Like, why don't you go back down there to the south there, boy?
Yeah, no, there was an Asheville Altitude Club. They had Rusty LaRue was on that team. Chris Lang that played at Carolina.
Oh, Chris Lang was there?
He was on that Asheville Altitude team as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bet you they were just packing the house, weren't they?
It was fun. It was a fun experience. That's all we could say.
Good.
Fun experience.
Good.
On the weird scale, there's Vegas, there's Florida, and there's Asheville. Let's get weird, Asheville.
I'm going to keep this one close to home over in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, or that's where the posting of the story came from. Is
this where the Oak Ridge boys are from?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No. I think the only thing in Oak Ridge is there's a high school there, and there's like a nuclear plant.
Oh, nice.
And it's or a weapons station or something like that.
That works out well.
Yeah. Tennessee registered nurse now facing federal charges for mailing nasty things in the mail.
Oh.
Yeah. What? So this lady. Della Marie Gibson Latham.
Oh, Della.
You always got to be worried about Dellas and anybody with 4 names. Mm-hmm. Any woman with more than 3 names, you're taking your chances.
And a tattoo of a dagger on her.
Yeah, 37-year-old Della Marie Gibson Latham of Oak Ridge in Loudoun County has been accused of violating U.S. Postal Service rules for mailing 2 packages back in April to the ex-wife of her husband. Inside those packages were apparently things that she took out of the hospital that were never supposed to leave the hospital. One of them apparently I'm just going to say it had some feces on it.
Oh my God.
It had some poo in it. Sent her a package of poo.
You never sent poo through the mail.
Then apparently used a feminine hygiene product that had been used.
Oh my God.
And sent that to the ex-wife of her husband. The more disturbing part of this story is that at least the feminine napkin, we're told, did not come from her. it was actually taken from one of the patients in the hospital. So it's just like a strange, weird blood stain. No,
this lady,
don't do this. She has obviously been fired. The federal government has told her she can go nowhere near another hospital job anywhere.
Her next place will be in a padded room.
Oh my gosh. And we were not shocked to find out that she also was arrested earlier this year for vandalizing the ex-wife's car.
Oh, surprise.
But it wasn't just that. She did that while there was an event going on at the children's school.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah, she's a little crazy.
She ain't coming out of that room for a minute.
Yeah, she's a little cray-cray.
Yep. Nope.
Federal charges. Nurses. They have access to so many nasty things.
Yes, they do.
If you cross them, there's some payback coming for you.
Oh, God. Well, here's the thing. A team of emergency rescue divers was flummoxed. Don't you get to use that word very often? Or flummoxed. After responding to a scene of a nude drowning woman, only to discover that it was actually a floating life-size sex doll. The uproar's gaffe was chronicled on Twitter by YouTuber Natsuki Tanaka, who had initially believed she was witnessing a real-life rescue in a city in Japan on the northeast coast. While filming a fishing video, I thought a dead body floated in the water and had washed up, but it was a blow-up doll. Oh, my good. Indeed, company photos showed multiple fire and rescue brigades, police, and ambulance workers to dredge the dummy from the water in front of a crowd of onlookers. Thankfully, the adult toy was rescued safely, according to Tanaka. It is unclear how the blow-up doll ended up in the water. And, dude, you don't have to fly.
We don't want to know. We don't want to know how it is.
You didn't have to fly to Japan just to get rid of your sex doll. I mean, let's be honest here.
They make those things so lifelike, though. It's easy to make the mistake.
I can see. I can just see the people, and perhaps this once devoted doll lover finally got fed up with his silicone soulmate,
right?
And that's crazy.
Good night. Oh, there's weird people in the world.
There is.
Look, at least if you're going to have one, just dispose of it properly. Don't just throw it in the river when you're done with it.
I can tell you what happened right now.
Let's not.
Somebody's wife found some guy's sex doll in the closet. She was so mad. She said, So then she put it in her car, and they were driving around, and people thought, oh, it's just somebody else in the car. She stopped by the water, wherever it was, and just threw it in the water.
No, I feel like that's not the way that happened, because in this day and age, that would be a lawsuit.
Yeah.
That would be the husband charging the wife with some kind of emotional distress.
Because these things aren't cheap.
Gosh.
Personal property. You're taking my personal property.
Ime Udoka apparently is going to be getting the job for the Boston Celtics as their head coach.
Good for him.
Very, very happy to hear that news. Like I say, he's a guy that has scraped his way through the basketball world from being a developmental player up to being, a guy comes off the bench for several NBA teams throughout his career. And then now he has climbed the ladder from assistant coach with the Spurs to assistant coach with the Philadelphia 76ers. This past year, he was with the Brooklyn Nets, and now head coach of the Boston Celtics, according to reports here. It's a good thing because there's a lot of friction going on in Boston.
Yeah.
Even to the point where there was a story on CBS yesterday that Blake Griffin was told by someone inside the Boston locker room not to come there.
Yeah.
So when he was done with Detroit and he was looking for a new home, he apparently made inquiries because there was rumors that the Boston Celtics would use his services.
Right.
And he was apparently told by someone within the locker room, a player, not to come there because of the dysfunction within the organization. Do you believe that is the truth? Do you believe that a player, whoever it may have been, told Blake Griffin, don't come here because this is a madhouse? Or were they lying to him saying, don't come here because we think we're better without you? Because remember back where we were before Blake Griffin started to become an actual usable basketball player for the Brooklyn Nets. We all thought he was a bum. He was a former All-Star who had become a bum.
There's not, you weren't going to, I think that is what most people would think. I don't know. Is there anybody that was on Boston's team that has any connection 2.
Now, that's an interesting thought. That's one that I had not thought about.
Let's take a look at said roster, because there might be a guy down that I'm not thinking about.
I don't know.
Not that I'm seeing like right off the bat, because I mean a lot of these guys I'm not sure, but it does. Here's the thing: that could have happened. To be honest with you, I'm not saying it didn't happen. He kind of showed in the playoffs that he can still play in this league, and maybe it was just I don't want to play in Detroit anymore. And we've seen players do this a lot. This is
unfortunately,
it's not good. Not good at all.
No, and it would give me real pause if I were another team looking at Blake Griffin, going, should I bring him in as a usable piece? I don't know, because if we ever get a sign that we're not in contention, he's going to mail it in.
I mean, he's going to sign the veteran minimum and play.
I remember like the first game that he played for the Brooklyn Nets, and he just skied like he hadn't skied in 10 years.
He hadn't had a dunk in like 2 years, and he dunked it the first game he had.
Right. And the social media sphere in Detroit just went absolutely crazy.
Right.
Like, where has this been? Who is this guy?
Right.
It's clearly obvious he's been tanking the entire time since we picked him up and overpaid him.
Yeah.
And I don't know. To me, this just kind of feels. It would be a warning sign for me if I was, I don't want to be a franchise in a position to have to bring in Blake Griffin to begin with.
Well, I mean,
that tells me I got some major
played well
holes.
enough. He played well enough in the playoffs where there will be a team
no
that
doubt
would want to pay him some money. But if I'm Blake Griffin at this point in my career, I'm sticking with the Brooklyn Nets and signing the league minimum, because they're going to need to save some money somewhere.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? They're not going to be able to give him a bunch of money. But I could see several teams throwing an offer to him, a 2-year, $15 million contract, something like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't even know what his veteran minimum would be. It might even be that much already. Who knows? So, but he played well enough. He showed that he can still play in this league. If he can stay healthy, he did well.
I think it's a warning sign, though. I really do.
Yeah, I wouldn't want him on my team.
I wouldn't either.
I mean,
of course, I wouldn't want James Harden on my team either after how he treated Houston at the beginning of the year.
I just feel like if he would move on to another franchise, it would just be. There's only a couple places I could see him going. Like, it would be like the Lakers or the Nets or,
It's got to be a contender.
Yeah. And that's it. Where he would actually play.
Like I say, because he proved with the Detroit Pistons that if you're not a contender, he ain't going to give it his all.
He ain't going to do it.
Although he did end up being one of the heroes of, even though their visit to the playoffs did not last as long as they wanted it to.
Yeah.
He still ended up being one of their best players in the playoffs.
Yeah, he did. 100%.
So, I did somebody in the locker room tell him to stay away? I don't see any reason why he would have to make this story up. Could that player have been Kemba Walker?
Maybe.
And that just adds to the fuel of Brad Stevens getting rid of Kemba Walker. No, I think you're right. I think the first couple of weeks here of the Brad Stevens experiment have gone really well.
Yep.
And we'll just have to wait and see what they do with the rest of it.
Yeah. They traded away their first round pick. But, who knows? They're going to have to do something.
Right.
They're going to have to make a move. And the thing is, there's just not a whole lot of moves out there to make. You know what I mean? Opposite of trying to get Dame to your team, the free agency class is a little low. I could see them possibly trying to get like a Kyle Lowry. Or something along those lines. But there's just not a whole lot, you know what I mean? I don't see them making a move for like a Kyle Kuzma from Los Angeles.
Why?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Why would you do that?
These are the names that are out there. That's right. How bad it is, I mean, I'm looking at
Alex Caruso.
Gotta lay off the weed. You know what I mean? But
you just got to not get caught with it.
Yeah.
The league doesn't care about it anymore.
Oh, it doesn't care at all. It does not care.
The league's not even testing for it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, what else do you think they could do? What moves can they make?
Who, the Boston Celtics?
Yeah.
Go get Dame Lillard. Period, exclamation point, ampersand, whatever extra punctuation you want to put on that thing. Mm-hmm. That's what you do.
Uh-huh.
You go get Dame Lillard.
Yeah.
Because I honestly, the more and more I look at Philadelphia failing to make the process come to fruition, that's not the way. Mm-hmm. That's not the way. And Boston's already done that portion.
Yeah.
They've already done their draft picks. They've already gotten the guys in the building. They've seen which ones work, which ones don't work. And you've got your core.
Uh-huh.
You have your core in place. You have Jason Tatum. You have Jaylen Brown. You hang on to those guys at any cost, and you send whatever you have to Portland to get Dame Lillard.
Bye-bye Marcus Smart. Bye-bye,
Done. It's a done deal.
Yeah.
I will send you whatever you need. Because
they're probably going to re-sign Evan Fournier.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even see the need to do that unless you can get him cheap, and I don't think you can get him cheap.
No.
I think he wants
there's a lot of talk that
$50 million.
There was a lot of talk that the Horford trade was a setup for Dame, but also that they could help re-sign Evan Fournier. Mm-hmm. So that's in there. But yeah, they say you can send a number of players out of there. Tristan Thompson, bye. Marcus Smart, bye.
Right.
Taco Fall,
right.
Bye.
As much as you may hate this game of chasing super teams, you have to come to the realization at some point that that's what you have to have.
I would love a Celtics team with Dame, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, and whoever else.
Mm-hmm. Although I say this, and there are no super teams left in the playoffs.
Yeah. Because
other
everybody
than the
got
Clippers,
hurt.
who are getting ready to get swept out by the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah. Everybody got hurt.
Who are not a quote-unquote super team.
Yeah.
But there again, there's some similarities there. Phoenix Suns drafted 2 superstar players. They get 1 superstar to come in and help guide them along.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like the Boston Celtics now to me, that I think about it.
That could be something that happens. Mm-hmm. And that should be the number one. And I'm sure Brad Stevens knows this. He knows that he needs to get Dame. But there's just so many things around that. You're going to have to come with a pretty darn good offer to get him out of Portland.
Again, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
As long as its name is not Jason Tatum or Jaylen
Yeah.
Brown, you can have whatever you want.
Have whatever you want. Take the next 3 years of our number ones. Take a couple 2s if you want to.
Yeah.
Take.
Did Dame play with Ime Udoka on the 2019 World Championships team?
I believe he did.
There you go. It could be another tie to.
And that probably was another move right there.
Could possibly be. We'll find out as everything unfolds in the NBA. Coming up next, we will talk about the opening game tonight of the Eastern Conference Finals. Mm-hmm. We'll get the Milwaukee Bucks, the Atlanta Hawks. But first, more baseball. Caleb Peak, it's time for something to chew on. That brought to you by Ingles. Weird things happening in the baseball world, and Caleb's got the lowdown on all of it.
It's Wednesday afternoon right here on ESPN Asheville. That means it's time for Chew on That, brought to you by Ingles Markets. Low prices, love the savings. I'm Caleb Peak. Let's get right into it.
This is new for everybody, but like, hey, they're checking your hat, they're checking your glove. You're ready for them to check your hands. Like I wasn't, just using rosin tonight, so. For me, that's the confusing part is I'm just trying to get a grip of the ball, and you can even watch in that previous at bat, the ball slipped out of my hand, I almost drilled something out of my hand in the face. I'm not just going to get into it. It is what it is. Just for me, it's when you look at how the game unfolded, and you specifically that at bat, I don't. For me, I don't think I'd have to be an absolute fool to actually use something tonight when everybody's intent is out of. Everybody's intent is.
Max Scherzer was untouchable last night. 5 strikeouts over his first 6 batters faced. 5 innings of 1-run ball, which came off a deep home run by Bryce Harper, who himself had been made to look foolish by Mad Max his first time at the plate. If you're a pitcher apologist much like myself, you could watch Scherzer's splitter in slow motion all damn day. It's a thing of beauty. And the best part? No spider tack necessary. The umpires, and more directly, Phillies skipper Joe Girardi, made sure of that. Under Major League Baseball's new rules, starting pitchers are subject to a mandatory substance check after their first inning of work. Scherzer wasn't happy about the initial check, but he complied, because what else is he going to do? Don't blame the umps, they just work here. But then the fourth inning rolls around, and Girardi decided something was amiss. Scherzer was just too good, even though he'd already given up the aforementioned bomb to Harper and almost drilled Phillies third baseman Alec Boehm right in the temple with a 95-mile-per-hour four-seamer. He then turned around and K'd Boehm in short order, which must have been the straw that broke the camel's back for old Joe. You know the rest. Girardi requests an additional substance check. It turns up nothing. Scherzer stares Girardi down, and Girardi says, "Come and get some," before promptly finding himself tossed from the game. Hot take of the day? This whole thing is ridiculous. It's childish, it's immature, and frankly, it's completely preventable. Here's how. MLB is now in a position where a delay of game penalty is necessary. The umpires have a right and a responsibility to check an opposing pitcher not only after the first inning, but, as was the case last night, upon request by an opposing manager. The Phillies were clearly frustrated by Scherzer's dominance, and although Girardi claimed he had a solid lead that Max was hiding an outlawed substance on his forehead, if that were the case, the umps should have caught that in the first inning check. What ensued was a total waste of game time, with all the squabbling back and forth and the alpha male posturing by Girardi, who, let's face it, is becoming another one of baseball's old men. With the delay of game rule, this could all be prevented. I propose that if an opposing manager insists on a recheck of whoever's on the mound at the time, it should be treated almost like an official challenge in the NFL. If you're right, great. The pitcher is tossed and suspended for a little while. If you're wrong, well, that's where things can get interesting. The umpires could punish these trigger-happy managers by adding an automatic out to that inning. Say if you had one out, if your challenge fails, you immediately have two outs. If you have two outs, your inning comes to an end. Or even better, I say punish the team who made the errant challenge by putting their pitcher in a jam to start the next inning. The extra inning rule could be applied here by placing a runner on second base to start the inning, and the league could up the ante for managers who don't get the hint the first time. Repeat offenders should have opposing runners placed at the corners to start their half of the inning. Since the pitcher that you're so worried about has to stop his momentum and recalibrate after a mid-inning spontaneous substance check, there's more than a good chance his effectiveness is going to drop with the very next batter he faces. It's essentially calling a full timeout in a game that prides itself on not using a clock. If a pitcher is following the rules of the league, why should he be punished for that? One of the great things about baseball is that actions, all of them, have consequences, whether it's written in the rule book or not. Everything is tit for tat, which actually serves the purpose of keeping everyone honest. If MLB doesn't want to step in with a delay of game rule to take care of the problems that come with these spontaneous checks, the clubs are going to start dealing with it themselves. You better believe that. Batters are going to get beaned. Benches are going to clear, and although there's certainly a place for that in this beautiful game, it's only going to diminish the quality of the product on the diamond. Which is terribly ironic because the substance check rule was supposed to make the product better in the first place. Right? Right? I'm Caleb Peak.
Pernicious, adjective, having a harmful effect, especially in a gradual or subtle way. Now, Wicked Weed's flagship IPA, winner of a silver medal at the U.S. Open Beer Championships, isn't harmful unless you're a competing IPA. Brewed in the mountains of western North Carolina, Pernicious IPA will destroy your expectations for all others in its class. Pernicious IPA inspires you to enjoy fresh and often. Order up at wickedweedbrewing.com. Wicked Weed Brewing, the official craft beer of Furman Athletics. Drink different, drink responsibly. All right, back just for a little bit here in the Sports Tank with Jeremy Greene, Tank Spencer, Brian Haynes with you. And tonight we got Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Yep. Milwaukee Bucks, Atlanta Hawks. Who you got?
I got Milwaukee big. I think this is going to be a Chris Middleton game.
Okay.
I think he's going to drop 30, and that's what's going to happen.
All right, I'm on the Milwaukee Bucks to win tonight as well. However, watch out for the Atlanta Hawks and Kevin Huerter. I think Kevin Huerter is going to be key in this series. Clint Capella, he gets second mention. I'm just not going with Trae Young. Mm-hmm. That's the lazy thing. That's the lazy thing. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in the Sports Ocracy. Check us out on YouTube.